All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Partner Kickoff MuleSoft Meetup. I'm very excited to have you join us today in the company of some amazing people who have been part of our partner community. My name is Royston Lobo. I work as a technical architect in the customer success team here at MuleSoft. And today I'm joining you from Singapore. And so it's a pleasure to be here, and I hope you have an amazing time over the next hour or so. With a chance to network with people from all around the world, as well as learn some knowledge and some career journeys from some outstanding individuals in the MuleSoft community. All right, so just to cover the agenda, I'll be doing a brief introduction into what the community is for those of you who are a little newer to it. I'll be sharing some announcements as well, and some of them have never been seen before, so stay tuned keenly for those ones. And then we throw over to our three amazing speakers. And the first topic is going to be around the evolution of architectures, so from legacy to API-led. And so we'll have Eduardo and Joy joining us from the same room in New Zealand, which is quite remarkable. So thank you to those two for all the preparation they've done so far. And then we'll be going over to Ryan Andel, who's in the Philippines, and he'll be talking about the different deployment models available for MuleSoft and sharing some of his expertise in that space. So all three of our speakers today are MuleSoft ambassadors, and they'll be sharing bits and pieces of their journey on what's taken them to where they are today. Now, we know that each of you on the call is also very interested in learning about many different things. So I'd encourage you to introduce yourself on the chat, share where you are from, and anything else that would be interesting to the audience. There is an opportunity today to ask questions. So as we go through the actual topics, I will be posting a link where you can post your questions, and then I will be moderating questions at the end of every presentation. So with that, I'll go straight into some of our announcements. Actually, let's start with the community. So for anyone who's new, the MuleSoft community is an amazingly vibrant community, and it's a community that I have been part of for more than 2 years now. So there's more than 50,000 MuleSoft practitioners who come together, sometimes in person, sometimes virtually, and they do three main things. They share and evangelize the work that they're doing. So it's not just a chance to showcase what you know, but more importantly, it's a chance to help other people with the knowledge that you have. You then also get to learn from other people on how they're making the best use, not just of the MuleSoft platform, but also how it fits into the broader technology landscape. And so quite often I have presentations coming through where we have customers talking about how they've used Mule on a major project. And lastly, it is a community, and so the most meaningful thing in a community is to actually create connections. And we know it's a little bit more challenging creating these connections in a virtual world, but if you've got the interest and the motivation to do this, we're always here. And I have an exciting initiative to talk about actually building those connections as well. So how do you actually get involved and stay in touch with this amazing community that I've just spoken about? So the easiest way to do this is to join the local and global meetup groups. So these are community-led events like the one that you're in right now. And we have various types of content. So you have things, technical demos, you have customer use cases, you have how-tos. I've led some panel discussions. So no matter what your style of learning or the content that you like, there is a flavor of which you can join into. And one of the benefits of going virtual over the last 12 months is that you can join not just the local community that in the city that you're in, but you can even join a meetup from anywhere in the world. So Joy, for example, I know is very active in the Surat meetup group in India, and I'm quietly confident she's never been to Surat before. And so it's just amazing how people have been able to tap into different parts of the world and really create a global community. If you're interested to learn more or to be more involved, head over to meetups.mulesoft.com where you'll get all the information that you need. I'll just give a little more information about the global online groups for anyone who's not aware. So these are groups that are typically based around either a language or a special interest. So there are three main language groups at the moment. So there's the English group, And today's meetup is actually hosted under the banner of the Online English group. So if you've subscribed to this group, you'll be notified on every event that has been that will be posted in the future. And I am a leader in the Online English group, along with three more of my colleagues around the world as well. We also have a group for Spanish and Portuguese. These groups have meetups in different time zones as well, so they sort of cater to a very global, diverse audience. More recently, we've got a special interest group along certain parts of the community, and the most vibrant of which is now the Women Who Mule community. So this is a community that Joy is probably quite active in, but it's made up of the amazing women who are part of MuleSoft, not just working at MuleSoft, but also MuleSoft practitioners, MuleSoft developers, and it's a real safe and a good place to actually connect with others who are on this journey as well. Again, there's a link on the slide for more information, and I'll be sharing these links and the slides later on the event page. If you've been hiding under a rock for the last couple of months, you might have missed the news that we've got some new ambassadors in the MuleSoft community. You might notice a couple of those faces on the slide are actually very familiar, and that's because we have the pleasure of them being here live with us on this meetup. So if you haven't heard of what a MuleSoft ambassador is, these are the most outstanding individuals we have in the MuleSoft community. They have gone above and beyond with not just their expertise on MuleSoft, but even how they contribute back to the community, both through their knowledge, but also through leadership. So, for example, all the ambassadors on this call lead MuleSoft meetup groups, and they actively contribute through tutorials and blog posts and moderating the forums. So if you want to be inspired, I'd highly recommend heading over to this link over here to understand what their journey was like. And if it's something that you think you want to go for, there is a pathway to get there. This is brand new news as far as I know. So we are launching the MuleSoft Mentors program very, very soon. And so what is this program? So we recognize that there are a number of people in the community who have an amazing amount of knowledge and expertise, but they might not always have the opportunity to share this expertise with the community. And so the MuleSoft Mentors program is an opportunity and a space for people to contribute back. And this can include being meetup leaders, being speakers, and sharing technical content. All mentors have at least one MuleSoft certification, and quite often they have much more than that as well. So you'll notice there's a little bit of an overlap with the ambassador program, but it's not quite as far a step as well. Now, exclusive access for partners begins today, and if you click on that, if you head over to that link, so that's mulesoft.com/community, Sabrina might be able to post the link in the chat actually. You can either apply to be a mentor yourself, or you could nominate someone that you know who would be a great mentor. And the criteria and guidelines for mentoring are available on that process, so you can learn more. And there are benefits to being a mentor, so that's why you should be interested. So what are some ways to get more involved? I've already covered some of them, like the meetups. However, there are a lot more. There is the MuleSoft Help Center, where you can ask and answer questions from other users. And I personally find that a great way to learn about problems that I don't know how to solve yet. And I know Ryan, for example, is very active in that space. And it's a great place to build a reputation and build your own knowledge as well. We also have the MuleSoft blog, and this is a very vibrant and active blog. So we post technical stories, events that are coming up. Every month there's a list of meetups that are posted in there as well, so you can see if you want a summary of what meetups to attend for the month. I know Joy probably looks at this every couple of days. You can actually see, all right, I'm going to attend this one on Thursday, this one on Saturday, and you can get a good flavor of what you can attend and learn. And lastly, there are also MuleSoft handles and presence on different social media. If you're not following the MuleSoft developers social media handle on LinkedIn, I strongly suggest that one, because you get up-to-date news on a number of things, including relevant things you need to be informed about. So thank you very much once again for joining us today. I now have the pleasure of handing over to Eduardo and Joy, who will be talking about the evolution of architectures that they've seen in their career. So with that, Eduardo, please start sharing when you're ready.
Sure, thanks, Rustam. Give me just a second, just share my screen here. Of course. Cool, thanks, Rustam. So hello, everybody. My name is Eduardo Ponzoni. I'm an integration manager from Datacom.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joy, working as integration technical lead for Datacom New Zealand too.
Cool. What we want to do here today is to talk to you guys about the evolution of integration solutions. What's been happening is that for a few years now, and on a daily basis, all of us Muleys, being either architects or developers, have been helping customers to overcome all sorts of challenges around integration solution by evolving these solutions from legacy to stuff more modern and faster, leveraging MuleSoft and API-led connectivity. What has happened is that over the years, those requirements for integration and also the need of sharing data in real time has also evolved, and that thing keeps on going on and on. In response to that, we believe that the next step on that evolution is taking a more event-based approach to API-led connectivity, using what we call an unwired or asynchronous approach to it. That's going to be the focus of today's presentation, and throughout it, you're going to see how to go about it. And we'll hand over to Joy now. Oh, sorry, apologies. Before that, let me just introduce myself just a little bit more. So I'm a practice manager here at Datacom in New Zealand. I have a number of certifications in both MuleSoft and Microsoft. Some of you might know me as a community leader here out of Auckland in New Zealand. I also do from time to time speak on MuleSoft events, and I'm all the time contributing to MuleSoft blogs, etc. More recently, I have been awarded the MuleSoft Ambassador title, and whilst working for Datacom, what I do is play all of these different roles as being a consultant, an advisor, evangelist, advocate, you name it. Joy, would you like to please now introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. It's me again, Joy. I work as an enterprise integration technical lead for Datacom New Zealand. I'm MuleSoft multi-certified developer and architect. I'm also run the Wellington, New Zealand Meetup group, and I'm the newest MuleSoft ambassadoress. I contribute to MuleSoft blogs too, and currently I'm mentoring talented Mule developers. So enough about us. Let's get into the topic. Cool. So today we're gonna talk about the technical challenges dealing with legacy architectures. So basically the problem statement, what we're trying to solve. And then we're gonna touch base about the API-led connectivity as well. And then what are the technical challenges dealing with RESTful approach. We're going to compare what's the difference between events and APIs. And later on, Eduardo will going to discuss as well the real life use cases and also the demo using Kafka. And lastly, the key takeaways. Right, so before we discuss the problem statement, let's first define what is legacy modernization. So it refers to the process of adopting these older legacy systems to support modern business and technology needs. Many organizations these days find it difficult to modernize or extend their legacy systems in a way that enables them to create an IT strategy that supports the quick adoption of newer technologies such as cloud, big data, IoT, and mobile. So this becomes crucial because legacy modernization is not an end itself, but rather it's a strategic enabler to provide the business with long-term flexibility to meet evolving IT needs. Just because the technology is old, that doesn't mean it isn't adding the value. But what should tech chiefs do to make the most of their existing infrastructure? And also, why is it important? Because it's ensuring the technologies they use provide a competitive edge in the market and meet changing business initiatives and customer needs. So it's the classic question, should IT spend its time maintaining legacy investments or creating new things? In one of the surveys, 90% of IT decision makers said legacy systems are holding their organizations back from using digital technologies to innovate or make operational efficiencies. And over a third believe that legacy systems are a barrier to completing IT projects. When they do attempt to modernize their legacy systems, many organizations connect new systems to their legacy databases and software with point-to-point integration, leading to tight dependencies between systems and creating a brittle, costly, hard-to-maintain infrastructure. So in this era where change is constant, customers are business models are disrupted every day, maintaining old systems won't be enough to survive. IT leaders become overwhelmed by the sheer number of requests for data feeds from legacy systems. More importantly, point-to-point integration builds architectural brittleness over time, making organizations less flexible and adaptive to change. In order to create an agile, future-proof architecture that supports a long-term strategy for legacy modernization, organizations must move beyond point-to-point integration and embrace a new approach, which is API-led connectivity. MuleSoft's unique impact. So this is just a quick recap. I know many of you are familiar with this diagram. So in API-led connectivity, again, it's a methodical way to connect data to applications through reusable and purposeful APIs. So with this approach, APIs are designed and productized for a specific purpose and play one of these roles within specific API layers, which are system, process, and experience. So like what I said earlier, change is constant. Problems are never ending. So as the usage of web APIs has grown, as your application network grows, so has skepticism about whether REST is the ideal communication convention for web APIs. However, while RESTful services work well for a documented and large-grain resources geared toward common web browsers, they have struggled to keep pace with not just the speed of change, but also the demand for real-time interactive services brought about by cell phones and the exploding market of smart devices. And this is where an eventful approach can become more effective. So while RESTful systems focus on resources, eventful solutions focus on actions. And more importantly, eventful solutions rely on asynchronous interactions. This opens up many more possibilities for building responsive and real-time solutions. So just to compare between events and APIs, by meaning events are state of change, whereas APIs is through API invocation. An event type is typically for one well-defined state change, whereas an API can expose many resources and support many HTTP methods per resource. Thus, an API is more akin to a group of event types than a single event type. In events, we've got a concept of producers and consumers, also publishers and subscribers, whereas APIs, we've got API client, API proxies, and API implementation. Events are asynchronous, APIs are synchronous. In events, we've got the concept of message broker, which Eduardo is gonna show you later on. And APIs at a minimum only require API client and API implementation. When it comes to specifications, events have the so-called async API, whereas APIs have RAML, or Open API specification, also known as Swagger. So to give you a real-life problem and solutions, I'll hand it over to Eduardo.
Cool. Thanks, Joy. Yeah, so I'm going to present you guys now is a bit of a case study of a customer wanting to have a 360 view of their customers. Starting with the usual, from a technical perspective, the problem was that the access to customer, specifically customer information, was really done via file transfers, and in parts of it also as part of this monolith application, which was what the guys wanted to get rid of. But the main problem from a business perspective was that they wanted to have, again, a 360 view of the customer, and that should be fast to allow them to make faster decisions, to get closer to the customers, to understand them better. So after dealing with that and all of the issues of deployment and duplication of data, etc., at some stage the CIO has decided that, okay, enough is enough. We have to take a different approach to this thing. It has to be more strategic and has to embrace part of our digital transformation. And that's where MuleSoft has come in with API-led connectivity. Once again, in this case, the key initiatives were to unlock and share this customer data across all of these different systems to provide this 360 degrees. One of the other things as well was to dismantle the monolith and take a more modern approach based on microservices, obviously adopting MuleSoft as an integration platform and following API-led connectivity. As goals and achievements, what they really wanted to do is not to repeat themselves, so therefore have a faster solution that's both robust, reusable, that could easily be discoverable, widely used by the whole company, and well monitored. However, as Joy mentioned, API-led connectivity or specifically using RESTful APIs come with some challenges, as you would have to deal with all sorts of exceptions and latency and things like that. So that's why we have taken the next step of this as an evolution by taking an unwired approach to it, which is, as Joy mentioned before, based in Kafka. This is what it looks like. Just to highlight the idea, we have system APIs in place, and still the same system, right? You have the CRM, you have a billing system, enterprise data warehouse, and an ERP. The way that the APIs communicate with each other is through exchanging events via a broker, which in this case is Apache Kafka. So to give you guys an idea of how the flow works for that solution, let's suppose in the ERP system, a customer gets changed. That notification gets sent to, or a call is made to the system API, the ERP, that gets pushed into Kafka with a message saying a new customer has been added or a customer has been changed in that ERP system. Then REST proxy API or using a Kafka connector from MuleSoft publishes that message to the customer's topic, and then connected to it as subscribers, we have a number of Kafka Connect sync, HTTP sync connectors that subscribe to that message and then redirect it to the corresponding system API, once again notifying there's a new customer or there's a customer update. We're taking on that one. Whenever a message gets published to the customer's topic, say the topic subscriber of not ERP in this case, but say enterprise data warehouse gets notified, makes a call to the API, therefore the data warehouse here gets updated. Same thing, same principle applies to Salesforce and to Stripe as the billing system. The really cool of that approach as well is that when we're dealing with those systems, this search systems, actually, we don't really get stuck or locked with any sort of protocol specifically, right? This thing could be talking to a database, it could be an API, meaning that you could leverage all of the different connectors and all of the useful stuff that you have in MuleSoft to do that. So to highlight all of this concept and in a sort of a real case, how it would look like, I have built a demo, which I would like to show you guys now. I'll switch to my Anypoint Studio first, just to show you guys some of the applications and how they work together. So based on that diagram there, I have 4 applications there, 3 of them being system APIs, and 1 being an experience API, just to present the data, like merge the data from all of these system APIs and present it in a nice, cool way, right? So if I take the billing system API, for example, the structure here is pretty much the usual, as everybody does. There's a configuration file for connectors, one for your generated flows using API kits, and then an actual implementation there. And this is where I would like to focus on this. So very simple. Whenever I receive an API call on my endpoint /API/clients, when it comes to the billing API, I'll just check what's this header called xsource to understand if it's coming via Kafka or if it's coming via search system. So I can decide, well, this message actually has to be published to a Kafka topic, or I'm just actually updating my data source. That same principle, same mechanism applied to all of the different ones, which again is very simple scenario, just to highlight what's the idea and how those APIs can work together. Another thing that you guys are going to notice is that I'm actually using Object Store for that. There's a reason for it, and it was just because I didn't want to have any external dependencies in here, like a database or even Confluence running on cloud, etc. So it's all local, nice and easy, works just fine. If I switch here to say marketing, just to show you guys how it looks. So exactly pretty much same structure when it comes to implementation, exactly the same thing, storing data in memory, etc. Now let's see this thing in practice. If I switch to my API console here, and then say, okay, I'm actually running my billing client's system API, right? And then I go and create or update a new customer, or I'm changing a customer. So like here, I had Mr. James Hetfield from Metallica. For those of you who are heavy metal fans, you would probably recognize this guy, right? But I'll add someone else in here. I'll add my son's name. So that guy is actually Noah Ponzoni. Just so we can see it. The 18th of May. Cool. All right. So I'm calling my system API. When I hit send button there, I will receive some sort of HTTP status code. It could be either created or it could be 200 just an OK, meaning that, yes, I have received the message. Once again, my API is going to call Kafka and publish the message to it. So I'll switch to Control Center to show you guys the topic where this message landed. So in here, I have a topic called Customer 360 View. When I click in there, you're going to see the dashboard there. There's a few messages and consumption, etc. If here I go to jump to my offset 0, etc. Just scroll down to the right side a little here. And you're going to see, yep, cool. Kafka's got a message. Master Noah Ponzoni on 18th of May. Cool, it's there. And that message is going to be spread to all of the other APIs. So again, the source of that customer was billing system. Now, if I switch to CRM, and then I go, okay, now give me the list of all of the accounts in your CRM, you guys gonna see it's probably not ordered in alphabetic order, but no, it's gonna be right there. Right, so that same message has been directed to all of the different APIs, and that happened in real time, right? We didn't have to deal with retries, there's no latency, it's all in real time. Similar stuff would apply, of course, if I come here to customers. I'll just quickly this thing. Yeah, always right there. That's super cool, works just fine. And then last but not least, as I mentioned, I have created, just go quickly to Studio, just to show you guys, I have also an experience API that calls all of these underlying system APIs. So here I basically receive a request with a catch, just explains that to me, it's better. So I'm just doing a scatter gapper here just to go, yeah, okay, make the call to get all of the clients in that API, all of the accounts, all of the customers. We'll merge all of them and simulate here, storing in my in-memory data store. The reason for that is that potentially as a customer, in this case as an experience API, you wouldn't want to go to those systems to get the data once again, but would probably just add to a caching database or something like that. So whenever I go, okay, now you give me the details of that customer, I would just retrieve it from my cache. Basically, that's how it works. So if I switch back here to my API console, and now you guys can see I have, just go back to the summary. I have just two endpoints there. I have one customers where I'll get all of that list there. When I go, give me the list of customers. This one comes nice and ordered appropriately. So ordered by their name. And then down below, you guys gonna see Noah has been added right there. So that same data is coming from all of these different systems. I'm just merging them together just to show it nicely. Like I'm formatting the date and saying it's male or female, etc. And also, if I want to get this guy by ID and perhaps see some of his details, I could just go. And that's going to go once again, would potentially go to my cache data instead of going to the search system. And yep, I can have that. And once again, we're now providing these 360 views. View of customers, it doesn't really matter where, in what system this customer lives. You reduce the number of duplications, and we also addressed in doing that the need for real time. So all of the process APIs on top of the system APIs can rely on that data. It's accurate data. It's refreshed in real time. So that's the demo. I hope you guys have enjoyed. So now I'll give it back to Joy to talk about some of the takeaways of this presentation.
Awesome. Thanks for that simple but wonderful demo, Eduardo. So for the key points to take away for this session, in order to create an agile, future-proof architecture that supports a long-term strategy for legacy modernization, organizations must move beyond point-to-point integration and embrace event-driven APIs. Some non-functional requirements, or NFRs, are most naturally realized by adding elements from event-driven architecture to a solution based on API-led connectivity. Organizations must modernize their systems to ensure the technologies they use to provide are competitive edge in the market, and more importantly, meet changing business initiatives and customer needs. To give you more about the key takeaways, Eduardo?
Yeah, that's right. I just would like to finish by saying the really cool thing of that approach is that it's very friendly to architects, developers, and operations, because it doesn't completely change the world. It's something that they are actually used to, because we are taking all of the elements of REML specification and API-led connectivity, and just enhancing them, adding a layer of synchronous communication to them. And then, of course, applying that in MuleSoft, you would still get all of the nice benefits in terms of security, because you can use API Manager to control your APIs, the access to them, etc. There's independence in between those applications. So if one of them goes down, for instance, yep, it's fine. We don't have to deal with retries, etc., because that's all done by the connector. We still do reuse, still promote reuse, and you can monitor all of your application network once again using MuleSoft. In other words, summarizing all of that, this is really a fast, modern, and best-of-breed approach to integration solutions, leveraging both MuleSoft and Kafka.
Cool. So that's about it. If you guys have any questions, clarifications, feel free to reach us out through any of these channels, and we're happy to assist. Thank you so much for joining in. Appreciate your time and enjoy the rest of your day. Over you.
Thank you so much, Joy and Eduardo. That was a brilliant presentation. Thank you for the preparation that you took. We did get one question in the chat. However, when I read it, I think it's more around performance troubleshooting as opposed to something that's more specific to this topic. So Harish, I might put in some links in the chat function just to help you out with the question, but I won't ask it live. All right, next up, we've got Ryan. Ryan, please kick off your slide sharing. I'll give you a brief introduction in the meanwhile.
All right.
So Ryan has been a MuleSoft ambassador since 2018, if I remember correctly. So he's he was in our first cohort of ambassadors. I've had Ryan on a panel in the Sydney Connect in 2019, which was quite a memorable experience. But he learned, I believe he got a lot being a moderator on the MuleSoft forums, and so highly accomplished and currently working in the Philippines for Capgemini. Ryan, I'm seeing the presenter view, not the audience view, so you might need to switch that over.
There you go.
Yep, that's working perfectly now. So over to you when you're ready.
All right. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. So today I'm going to discuss navigating deployment models for MuleSoft. So I'm going to be your speaker for today. So to give you an idea about myself, so I'm have 8 years of IT experience. So for my 8 years, I've been doing MuleSoft for 4 years already. So I'm currently an associate manager at Capgemini. So I'm a MuleSoft ambassador, Manila, Philippines Meetup co-leader, and I'm a MuleSoft Help Center moderator. So I'm currently answered thousands of questions in MuleSoft Help Center, and I'm currently moderating Mule developers and architects. So below are my active certifications. So to begin with, our agenda for today is, first, I'm going to discuss journey to ambassadorship, CloudHub, and Runtime Fabric. So many of you may be wondering, so what is my background with MuleSoft? How did I start my career? How did I become a MuleSoft ambassador? So to give you an idea, so first, I started my career as an integration consultant. That's April 2017. So next week, it will be my 4th year for MuleSoft. And I earned my first MuleSoft certification June 2017. And I think at that time, that's Mule 3.8. And I started contributing to MuleSoft Forum July 2017. So I still remember that time I'm working at a project and I encountered a challenge, specifically with the data weave transformation. So basically, I posted a question in MuleSoft forum at that time, and it definitely gave me an idea how to solve my issue. And after that, I started answering questions in MuleSoft forum, which eventually I helped a lot of developers. And of course, it helped me to develop my skills. And January 2018, I became a MuleSoft moderator. So as a MuleSoft moderator, to give you an idea, so we make sure that developers, architects, customers find the best answers to their MuleSoft and integration questions. April 2018, I became a MuleSoft Meetup group leader for Manila, Philippines. Then April of 2019, I became a MuleSoft ambassador, which is currently up to date. So what am I doing as a MuleSoft ambassador? So previously, like Roy told us a while ago, so I got a chance to present at MuleSoft Connect APAC way back September 2019, where I have a panel discussion for the Voices of MuleSoft community. I also do a MuleSoft Meetup speaker. So I do an in-person before the pandemic, which is I spoke for Philippines, Singapore, and lastly, because of the pandemic, I'm now doing a speaker for virtual meetup, which I have last year for Sydney, Australia. And maybe you're maybe wondering what Manila MuleSoft Meetup group looks like. So to give you our idea, this is the Manila MuleSoft Meetup group. So basically, we started May 2018, and at that time, we only have 34 attendees, and we grew for the past years. And this one was taken before the pandemic, and at that time we have a 100 plus attendees. So I really miss this Muleys. So to give you an idea, MuleSoft Ambassador is the highest achievement a community member can attain. So it requires commitment and consistent demonstration of your expertise. So now I'm going to share you some guide how to start your journey to ambassadorship, but there is a nomination process to become an ambassador. So in order for you to start your journey, you have to lead a MuleSoft Meetup group, speak at meetups, write your own blogs, create your video tutorials, and answer questions on MuleSoft forum. So I'm really excited also that Roy told us about the MuleSoft mentor a while ago. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. So you have to remember that your goal should mentor and help developers to succeed. Now I'm going to proceed with my first topic, which is CloudHub. So CloudHub is an iPaaS component of an endpoint platform. So when we say iPaaS, we are talking about customers only need to take care of their data, applications, and configurations. So you have to remember that it is fully managed by MuleSoft. And of course, there's no hardware procurement and you don't need to maintain any infrastructure. And you just develop at one place. So develop, deploy, and maintain your integrations. Of course, CloudHub acquires all cloud features, so which are highly available, secure, multi-tenant, control access based on complex organizational requirements. To give you an idea what CloudHub looks like, so to give you an example, we have here the control plane, the runtime plane. So basically in the control plane, we have the features of the endpoint platform, which are an API manager, analytics, exchange, monitoring, and management. So we also have the runtime plane where we basically deploy our Mule applications. So to give you an idea how we connect to our on-premise, so as you can see on the right side, we have here the database, systems, files. So basically for us, what we're going to do is for our on-premise, usually we have our firewall, and for us to connect to the endpoint platform, we go through a VPN via secured IPsec connection. And to provide you another example for CloudHub, so here our main objective is we want our CloudHub to connect to our customer's account, which is, for example, we have our own AWS. So to do that, in this example, we have to make sure that both AWS, which is MuleSoft AWS, and your AWS are sitting in one same region. So basically, to do that, we have to request a VPC peering so that we can share data between those two AWS networks. And of course, if we want to connect to our corporate data center, we have to do a VPN, then go to the public internet, which go to our corporate data center. And now I'm going to discuss the Runtime Fabric. So to give you an idea about Runtime Fabric, um, more customers now are actually moving their workloads to Kubernetes. And because of that, most customers, they develop their own subject matter experts with regards to containers and orchestration. And with that, MuleSoft noticed that there's a need for runtime fabric that can run on Kubernetes instead of having a standalone distribution. So what is runtime fabric? So basically, runtime fabric, it orchestrates, automates, and the deployment of new runtime into containers in any cloud or on-premise. So basically, you have a choice here if you want to do it, to have this in cloud, or if you want to have it or in your premise. With runtime fabric, you can deploy it in AWS, Azure, and or data center. And since Runtime Fabric is containerized, that means you can run multiple versions of runtimes in a single runtime fabric. So it removes the need to learn Docker. And of course, with this, it reaps the benefit of the cloud and on-premise. And of course, manage it in control plane. So that's one of the requirements of the runtime fabric. Maybe you are wondering what are the difference between CloudHub and Runtime Fabric. So basically, if we go first to the CloudHub, basically we all knew that CloudHub is being managed by MuleSoft by a public cloud infrastructure. And basically here it includes the control plane and the runtime plane. While on the Runtime Fabric, customers is the one managing the infrastructure. And we have the choice if we want to host it in AWS, Azure, or our own customer data center. And of course, what I mentioned a while ago, it still required the MuleSoft control plane. Now, what it looks like. So if we go to the Cloud Hub, basically what we have here is a cloud. And in the cloud, we have everything. We have the control plane and we have the runtime plane. It's all packaged, everything in cloud. While if you go to the runtime fabric, you can see that the control plane is separated to your customer's network. So here, customer's network, you can choose where you want to deploy it, if it is in cloud or you're on premise. So what is runtime fabric EKS AKS? So basically, this is one of the new deployment models of MuleSoft. Before we have this runtime fabric on appliance, now we have this runtime fabric on EKS and AKS. So basically, EKS AKS, it, of course, it from the word itself, so it runs on top of existing EKS and AKS environment. So with this one, customers has their flexibility to bring their own Kubernetes, ingress controller, log forwarding, and install in RTF within it. So customers is the one maintaining. You have to remember that customers is the one maintaining the network for this one, and the RTF services and Mule deployments are being maintained by MuleSoft. So maybe some of you are familiar with this diagram. So to give you an idea, on the left side, we have here the runtime fabric on appliance. And on the right side, we have here the runtime fabric on AKS and EKS. So for the runtime fabric on appliance, which is on the left side, you can see that it is divided into two parts. So basically, we have here the controller nodes for our load balancer agent. Agent is the one that maintains the communication to the control plane, or which is our endpoint platform. And we have here the worker nodes, which has our applications and your runtime. So basically, as you can see, as we move to AKS and EKS, we remove these controller nodes. So that means here, we can choose our own ingress controller, load balancer, and some of the benefits of moving from appliance to AKS, EKS is of course, it's less maintenance for us, and of course, it reduces the cost as well. So why Runtime Fabric? So maybe what many of you are wondering, why would I go to Runtime Fabric? When do I consider moving to Runtime Fabric? So to give you an idea, I'll give here some use cases when you can consider moving to Runtime Fabric. So first use case that we have is long-term cost and flexibility. So here we have an enterprise organization is estimated to manage 200 mil APIs and has its own AWS, which is their cloud provider. The organization wants to reduce its expenses in long term, considering that the number of APIs will grow in the succeeding years. 200 mil APIs. So if you think about it, it's a lot. And imagine the money. It's really expensive. So we try to break down within two parts. First, we go to the CloudHub. CloudHub, you can run as low as 0.1 vCore. So with our requirements, we have 200 mil APIs. So 200 mil APIs times 0.1 vCore. How many vCores is that? So yep, that's right. So that's 20 vCores. So, but you have to remember that 20 vCores, we assume that every API will run at 0.1 vCore. Of course, some new APIs, they would need to run more than 0.1, 0.2, or even more. And of course, we need a high availability for this one. So maybe let's try to safe to assume that in this case, we need to have 35 vCores. So imagine how much you need to pay for 35 vCores per year. It's a lot of money. But the one good thing is here is it's managed by MuleSoft. So that means it's less headache for us to maintain our infrastructure because we just need to maintain our application and data. While in Runtime Fabric, you can run as low as 0.02 vCPU. So if you try to compare that to the vCore, so it's more granular. And we have here the EKS, which is 0.10 per hour dollar. So it's, to be honest, it's not a big amount. And if you have existing AWS as well, the good thing here with if you have existing AWS is we all know that if you are using more services from MuleSoft, if you use it more, that means we can avail discount from AWS. So if you're using a lot of EC2 instance, so basically we can get a discount from them. So in terms of cost, of course, it's less. And in terms of flexibility, you can choose your own data residency and you manage your own operation and maintenance. So if you're going to ask me what should I choose between this one, if you really want to reduce your expense, and the thing is you're willing to manage your operation, maybe the Runtime Fabric is the best choice for you. Now, I'm going to move to the second use case, which is security and infrastructure standards. So here, a financial enterprise organization wants to leverage MuleSoft. The organization required that the security and infrastructure must follow their own standards. Due to the confidentiality, the transactions must remain in their own cloud and infrastructure. So it's from the problem itself, it's really obvious that here, CloudHub is not really feasible here. Why? Because it uses most of AWS. And if we try to go back to the problem, the customer is requiring that the transaction must remain there in their own cloud or infrastructure. So basically, our choices here are on-premise, or we have here the Runtime Fabric. So for the Runtime Fabric, of course, you have the option to choose your own cloud or infrastructure. So if you have your own AWS, so basically you just install Runtime Fabric within it. And of course, you reserve smaller set of internal IP address for deployment. So basically, since it's within your network, you don't need to open a lot of ports. So it's less vulnerable. And we know how strict clients it, especially when we are requesting to open more ports. So it's really hard to request that one. And of course, it leverage based on your own standards. So if your organization has their own preference in terms of firewall policies, API gateways, and proxies, then probably this is the suitable for you. Now, the third use case is regulatory compliance. So actually, this is one of the special use case here because not there are limited organizations that goes into this use case. Most of them are financial and healthcare. So to give you a use case here, a financial enterprise organization wants to leverage MuleSoft, but there is a strict regulatory compliance within their country. So to give you an example here, some country they require that the vendor must exist within their country. And we all know that MuleSoft at the moment is not available in every country, but they still continuously expanding. But in this case, the customer is rushing that, hey, we want to use MuleSoft. So how we can do that within a short period of time? To do that, so at the moment, majorities of the companies like AWS and Azure has their own existence in every country, and most of them already comply with the regulatory compliance within that country. And to do that, yeah, just choose your cloud provider and just install the Runtime Fabric within it. So what are the benefits of using Runtime Fabric? So of course, if we go to the Runtime Fabric, it's more flexible for us. Why? For example, maintenance. Maintenance is managed by MuleSoft. While if we go to Runtime Fabric, we have the full visibility of the whole environment that we have. So we don't need to raise ticket what's happening to this one. Maybe can you inspect that one? So we have the control. And second one is the logging. So we all know that logging for CloudHub is currently resides in MuleSoft AWS. And there's current limitation, which is 100 MB per Mule application. But if we go for Runtime Fabric, we have the option where we want to store our logs, for example, Amazon S3. And if, of course, if we want to save money, we can archive it within the future. So there are some available archiving, like, for example, if you install it, if you put your logs to Amazon S3, you just change it to Glacier to archive your logs. And the second benefit is, of course, it will leverage AWS and Azure services. So with Runtime Fabric on EKS and EKS, organizations will able to leverage services offered by their cloud provider. So basically here I provided two examples, which are, we have here the CloudWatch and Azure monitoring. So we have here AWS and Azure. So these are commonly used for monitoring and alerting. And for the storage, we have here the S3 and Azure Blob Storage. So conclusion. So when do I use CloudHub? So basically with CloudHub, it requires us minimal effort to manage our application. So basically, it has no setup required. So with built-in scaling and advanced management features, and it includes hosting and support. So if you have the money and you just want to manage your application and data and just configuration, then just go to CloudHub. But if you go to Runtime Fabric, it's offer you a lot of benefits like flexibilities and more granular control. But of course, there must be taken to ensure that there's a balance between scalability and performance. And of course, it bridges the gap between multiple clouds and on-premise to help enterprise meet changing business requirements in a quick and efficient manner. And of course, we have to remember that customers must have the right skill set to manage EKS and EKS. Since you're the one managing your network, you don't. So that means you need to hire someone who can leverage the EKS and EKS. So yeah, that's it for my presentation. So if you have any questions, so feel free to reach out. So yep, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ryan, for the presentation. Looks like we had a few comments there about people being excited about the launch of RTF on EKS and soon Google Kubernetes servers as well. So if anyone hasn't been up with the news, it was announced, I think, last week. So I'm not quite sure if you'd mentioned that.
That's a good news.
Yeah, so there's no excuse anymore. Brilliant. I haven't seen any questions come through on the link that I'd shared, and neither on the chat as well. So hopefully, maybe a little bit of advice, Ryan. So if someone in the community wants to get more hands-on experience with RTF, what would you suggest is a good way to get started?
Actually, Meetup provide really good documentation with it comes to RTF. So I suggest you go to those RTF documentation, and actually there are a lot of meetups to discuss this RTF. So if you want to have like live demonstration, maybe you can attend one meetup and just check how they do this Runtime Fabric setup.
Excellent, thank you. I know I went to the Melbourne meetup, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and there was a live demo of the RTF installation on EKS. So if anyone's interested to see what it looks like in terms of installation, that's one place you can go to get more enablement. Brilliant. I think we are reaching and there's a question around any videos walkthrough. Praveen, I think the best place would be to visit that recording of the Melbourne meetup, but if not, there's going to be multiple meetups, both in the past as well as in the future, covering RTF installation. So
That's for sure.
Yeah, it's a very popular topic in the community at the moment. All right, so I think it's a good time to wrap up for today. So Eduardo, Joy, and Ryan, thank you once again for taking the time to prepare and put together the presentations for this session. For anyone in the community, if you do have questions for Ryan, Eduardo, or Joy, you can reach them through multiple channels. So you've seen some of their contact details on screen. All the content that has been presented today will be put up on the event page within 24 hours. So there'll be an opportunity for you to contact them or review the content again. If you have questions about their ambassador journey, if you're really quick, you can ask them in the chat and I'll have a chance to ask them live. Otherwise, you might have to catch them at the next event that we have. There are some useful links coming out in the chat right now. So make sure if you haven't heard about the Friends of Max videos, there's some really good bite-sized content there, including some installation walkthroughs for different products. Once again, if you haven't heard about the MuleSoft Mentors program, there's a link in the chat on how to get to that. I think apart from that, we are at a good time that we can close this session. So thank you all for everyone who's joined us today, for your attention and your participation. And I look forward to joining you at the next meetup. Bye.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
See ya.